Hey friends, let me show you how to craft our October box, the gingerbread baker. Y'all, you get this rolling pin. I'm using these colors. I'll give you a list later. And I'm painting the ends with white. And always remember, you can use any colors you like. Now, I'm just continuing on with my white paintbrush. So I'm painting the top of the chef's hat. And I'm actually going to do 2 coats on everything. I don't think I show you that, but 2 coats to make everything look awesome. Dry in between. Now I'm going in with red. So what I like to do is if I'm painting something red, I go ahead and paint, or I try to go ahead and paint everything that I'm using the red on. You'll see me later when I'm putting the second coat on. That's when I paint the heart. Anyway, and look, I think the rolling pin will look beautiful in green too. I like those old-fashioned green ones. Now for the gingerbread, I'm going to paint all over. Then I'm going to go into a darker brown and go around the edges, just to make it look like a cookie that I baked. Sometimes mine are a little browner than I like, but just to make it look, you know, a little more like a cookie. I'm adding that brown. You see me wipe it off on. I have a dry cloth that I use to wipe off my paintbrushes when I use the same paintbrush for several colors. See how much depth that adds? So just use a shade darker anytime you're wanting something to look like a cookie or have a little depth to it. And I think this looks stinking cute. It actually looks better than the cookies I bake. And there's the heart that you'll be using later, putting it on your gingerbread. And now let's go ahead and put a second coat on here. And then I realized I should have rounded the area right there close to the handles. And look, you can totally use a piece of tape to tape that off. See how I added that little rounded look? So I'm like, oh, I need to make this look like a rolling pin. And then I'm going to just take this black Posca pen and outline it all over. And we're going to do some fun paint sprinkling here in just a minute. Now this part's totally optional. I just thought that would make it look really finished. There we go. Now, isn't that cute? Now listen, you could use the rolling pin and the gingerbread individually. I do glue mine together, but there's like so many ideas. You could just do the gingerbread and you could just do the rolling pin. You could use scrapbook paper on the rolling pin. So many ideas. All right, here we go with the heart. I'm going to put it right there. You can place it anywhere, or you don't even have to use it. Now here we're going to add some water to the white paint, and I grabbed Barry's toothbrush again. I like to use his toothbrush, not mine. So then I just flick on the white specks. Y'all, I think this just adds so much character to the piece. Now I'm going to dry that white, and now I'm going to add a little black with a little bit of water. And look, if you want to practice this like on a piece of cardboard, totally do it, because sometimes, you know, when you're flicking your paint, you can get a blob, and you don't want a blob, because then you'd have to wipe it off and start over. So there we go. Now I'm going to flick a little bit of this on both pieces. And like I said, I love this look, and I think you will too. Now let's get everything dry. And now I'm going to put some little eyes on here. They're so cute. And look, make the eyes any way you like. And so a few dots on the heart. And now the squigglies. Now I got a little crooked down here. So I'm like, that just looks handmade. Now in the bag I gave you 2 of these rusty bells. And I'm going to put one right here. And look, I didn't put a little mouth. You could totally put a little mouth. It's kind of covered up with the string. So now, and you get a bow. Isn't that cute? You could totally add a little sprig of greenery if you like. Now I'm going to glue this to the rolling pin. And then we also included this other bow. And look, add some greenery if you like. And there's the little other rusty bell. Y'all, I think it's so cute. Thanks for watching.